But is this simply the anxiety this troubled student is feeling?
Hello everybody, Gaming with Jack here, and today we're in another Jack Reacts video. And today we're learning the secret, I forgot exactly what it was. It's like this theories about Baldi's basics, like the secret meaning of like whatever. This is a video by Super Horror Bro, which I just recently found out about that they existed. So cool, I guess. Let's learn. It's going to be explained for us everything that I don't understand.
Hey guys, Super Horror Bro Mike here, and in today's Baldi's Basics in Education and Learning video, we take a look at the mysteries of his school, the characters who inhabit it, and why exactly Baldi's questions seem to make no sense at all. And what about that bizarre field trip that recently released? All of these questions will be covered in today's theory, which expands and elaborates on my original Baldi theory, in which I proposed the main character may have some kind of mental disorder, such as schizophrenia. Hence why they see the world in such a tainted light. The more I thought about this theory, the more I became aware that the entire school may not be a normal high school, and instead a school for special education. And this principle will be the groundwork for today's theory. So what exactly is a special education high school? Well, let's take a look at the Wikipedia definition for such an institute. Special education, also known as special needs education, aided education, exceptional education, or special ed, is the practice of educating students in a way that addresses their individual differences and needs. Ideally, this process involves the individually planned and systematically monitored arrangement of teaching procedures, adapted equipment and materials, and accessible settings. These interventions are designed to help individuals with special needs achieve a higher level of personal self-sufficiency and success in school and in their community, which may not be available if the student were only given access to a typical classroom education. This basic description perfectly fits with everything we see in Baldi's Basics. The layout of the school itself seems designed to help those with special needs. The classrooms are simple and the building has lots of bright colours, something we don't see in a regular high school for the most part. Look at the drawings on the wall here too. They resemble something a child with learning difficulties would have drawn, and suggest a very basic IQ. This particular image comes off as highly strange, even creepy, in its suggestion of self-harm. But these images and the look and feel of the school alone is not enough evidence for us to claim the setting of the game is indeed that of a special ed school.
Right.
So, let's dive.
Playtime has poor eyesight. I remember that now.
Deeper. First, let us turn our attention to the two teachers, Baldi and Principal of a Thing. Here is an audio extract from both of them.
I can't believe it. You're incredible.
Your parents will hear about this one.
As you can tell from these audio clips, the speech patterns from both these teachers is slow and deliberate. The way they talk is not the way you would expect a teacher to communicate with a regular student, but it does sound similar to what we may expect to hear from a teacher speaking to someone with a learning disability. Slow and simple so they can be understood, and calm in tone so they do not scare the child. Also, we hear Baldi congratulate our character every time they get a single question correct. This over-the-top praise is something that would absolutely be said to a kid with severe learning disabilities, as they have a far harder time wrapping their heads around even the most simplistic of questions much of the time. You will also notice that Baldi rewards the player with a shiny quarter for getting the first question of the day correct.
You did great. Come here and get your prize.
A
shiny quarter.
Again, something not commonplace in a normal school environment, but would be found in special education. But there is more evidence than I have presented so far in this video, much more in fact, and the second half of this video looks at the other students and the mystery field trip, both holding further clues which cement this theory as something to seriously consider. So let's start with a look at the other.
My question is, why does Baldi chase us around? Just for getting a question wrong. Especially with this new theory.
Students at his school. First up is Playtime, a schoolgirl wearing a red dress who desperately seeks someone to play skipping rope with. Her description also states she has poor eyesight, so this is a child who has a physical learning disability, her poor vision, and seems socially unaware, forcing herself on the player and demanding to play with them, only stopping if her skipping rope is cut in half. So we certainly have a character in Playtime who exhibits qualities in line with special needs. Next we move to Arts and Crafts, strangely displayed as a sock in the game, which we assume represents a creation made by him in, well, Arts and Crafts. This student is known to be very shy and reclusive. It is also stated that they become jealous of people with more notebooks than them. This is a strange motive to bring out jealousy and anger in a child, but would make sense if Arts and Crafts has a learning disability, and so therefore is easily triggered by menial things. His description also states that he doesn't like being looked at, and we can see this in the game. This character, if seen, ducks back out of view. However, they will try to get the player in trouble if all 7 notebooks are collected. So again, another character with personality traits which would match a mentally challenged individual. Moving on to first prize, we see a physical disability more than a mental one, a character that represents someone in a wheelchair, and with a big heart, which represents, as his description remarks, someone who loves hugging people and rushing towards anyone it sees. So here we have a kid with a physical handicap, but someone who seems to be fairly intelligent and may be overly friendly towards people.
I am coming, ready or no, here I come.
And once again, we have evidence this is a child who would require a special school environment, both to get around in and also to learn to control their overt emotions. As far as the final student, it's a bully, is concerned, we don't have a description that alludes too much to someone who is mentally or physically challenged. He is simply stated to be a bully, but his appearance does seem to mirror that of someone with a certain type of disability. His nose is large and squashed up. He has an overly happy expression on his face at all times, and tiny eyes, while his body is very large and his arms very small. In comparison to teachers such as Baldi and Principal of a Thing, as well as the mysterious file name 2, they all have a more normal look with less exaggerated features. So there is some evidence here to suggest the bully is also disabled in some way. With all this information in mind, we can now fully explain why Baldi's questions often make no sense at all. While the simpler questions are manageable for this student, they may be suffering from a form of dyslexia. This is a learning disability which is very common in many people, and usually isn't a big deal. However, some people suffer severe dyslexia, and this can make understanding numbers and words very difficult. So in game, I believe this is represented by literally showing harder math questions as something totally unreadable. And so these questions aren't actually presented to the child this way by Baldi, rather it is simply their anxiety and dyslexia kicking in as they begin to fail to keep up. It is the game representing their learning disability. It also seems like each notebook the player collects represents a class the child is attending, with each class bringing them closer to the end of the school day when they can finally return home. But because of this, their anxiety rises, and so they perceive Baldi to become more of a danger to them, feeling pressured upon getting more and more answers incorrect, and in turn feeling as if their teacher is becoming angrier with them. This is only heightened by the presence of other students and their actions toward the player. At the end of a school day, the child feels highly distressed, and so we can hear this audio clip.
Congratulations! You found all 7 notebooks! Now all you need to do is...
In reality, no one is out to harm them, and it's all in their head. It also appears as if this is the kids' first day at Here's school, as Baldi greets them in this manner at the beginning of the game.
Oh, hi. Welcome to my schoolhouse.
It seems obvious now the school and its students are special needs focused, and this explains why they behave the way they do, and their skewed and abstract presentation in the game. It explains why Baldi speaks the way he does, and why many of his questions appear nonsensical to the player. It even explains the bizarre art found on the walls around the school, and why objects, such as these scissors, are so blunt and safe. But we have one more scenario to analyze in order to complete today's theory, and that is the mysterious field trip minigame that's recently released for the game. Because special needs centres and schools often use unorthodox methods of teaching in order to help students become both self-sufficient and gain confidence in themselves, it makes sense that Baldi, as the child's mentor, would perhaps spend time with them outside of the classroom to further develop these qualities. So it isn't that strange that he takes the child on a field trip under these circumstances. This is an exercise to help the child become self-sufficient by building a fire and camping in the woods. Again, he is trying to help the kid and not harm them in any way, but this child feels that if they let the fire go out, they will get in trouble, when this is actually a harmless learning exercise. The bizarre cloudy copter is most likely just a regular flying helicopter overhead, but again something which scares the child under these circumstances, being away from home and with a relative stranger in the woods at night, a place they would probably feel highly uncomfortable in. And with that, we have covered just about everything found within Baldi's Basics, with a theory that explains all. But this is just a theory, and we will delve into other takes on the weirdness of the game in the coming weeks. In the meantime, let me know your thoughts in the comments.
It was just a theory. A game theory.
Section below.
Cool, so I definitely want to find that camping one. I don't know if I can. If I do find it, I'd like to play it on live stream or something. That'd be cool. But yeah, cool. Okay, here is Baldi's Basics Explained. It's another, like, I don't know. Again, this is not like an official thing as far as I know.
Hey guys, Superbro Mike here, and in today's video we take a look at a possible theory explaining the meaning behind Baldi's Basics in education and learning.
Welcome to Baldi's Basics in education and learning.
pass.
Ready, go! 1, 2, 3, 4.
Bully, a fellow student who forces you to offer him useful items in order to pass by. Got a sweep, a gigantic broom who moves you around the level into potentially dangerous areas. Arts and crafts, a gigantic sock puppet who becomes jealous of the player for having too many notebooks and teleports them to Baldi's location at the start of a game. And principal of a thing, the school principal.
That is an interesting thing. It did teleport me at the very end. At the very end of the game. Like right before I won. That's interesting.
Who places you in detention for breaking the various rules laid out by the school.
30 seconds. Detention for you. When will you learn?
Okay, so now I've explained the basics of this game, its characters, and its origin, let's take a look at what I believe it may all represent. In doing this, we can explain why exactly this indie horror game is quite so weird and wacky. My opinion is that while this may well simply be an insanely weird horror game, it may also be a reflection of the struggle of mental illness special needs students face every day. Consider this. What if Baldi's Basics is not a game within a game, but rather a reflection of how a troubled child views the world around them? There is one mental illness in particular that would line up perfectly with what we see in this game. Childhood schizophrenia is not particularly common and is often confused by autism, but it is far more severe and distressful for a child. Schizophrenia is described as a severe long-term mental health condition. It causes a range of different psychological symptoms. Doctors often describe schizophrenia as a type of psychosis. This means the person may not always be able to distinguish their own thoughts and ideas from reality. When looking at this statement about the illness, it certainly seems to explain a lot about how the child in Baldi's Basics views the world around them. If Baldi's Basics is set in the 1990s, which it likely is, then this troubled student may well have been given access to educational games on school computers, and then have taken the reality found within the visuals of those games and projected them onto their real-world view, finding it difficult to separate fiction from reality. So their teacher ends up resembling a character from the games used to teach them maths. The school becomes the game world. Fellow students take on the appearance of sketches drawn by this schizophrenic child. The janitor represented as a mop. The arts and crafts students represented as a sock puppet made in class. This child is simply experiencing a skewed version of reality. As the quote states, a person may not always be able to distinguish their own thoughts and ideas from reality. When we get maths questions wrong in the game, we see Baldi, the school maths teacher, grow angry and chase us. But is this simply the anxiety this troubled student is feeling as they fail in their schoolwork? The fact we see realistic images of human faces on the walls of the school suggests reality is bleeding through into their warped view of the world. These faces could in fact be the actual appearance of teachers at the school. When we are teleported around to detention and find ourselves trapped in a room for a certain amount of time, is this jump in time further evidence of the fractured nature of a schizophrenic mind? So everything this child sees comes from their second reality, a reality resembling the educational games they play within the school, with other school members and faculty appearing as characters from the game, sketches the child has drawn, or objects associated with their job roles. There is then no danger, rather everything is in the mind of a child suffering from a serious mental disorder. And that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you did, remember to leave me a little comment down below, give this video a like, and of course subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one, and I'll see you on the next one.
More deeper and darker than I thought. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Really, it's just Like, I just thought this game was just like, oh, it's a little scary game that you think is gonna be fun and happy, but it's not, blah blah blah. Classic horror game. I guess not classic, but like, yeah. That could absolutely be true, but I don't know. Thank you all for watching. Please subscribe and help the channel. Like this video, share it to your friends and family. Comment down below what else you want me to react to. React to. Thank you all for watching.